Mic'd up.
Highlights from Lowlifes. Highlights from Lowlifes.
Wow, we have a theme song again that we can actually hear.
Who would have thunk it? The professionalism.
My screen went blank.
Yeah. No, your screen did not go blank. You're fine.
My mind went blank. Okay.
Yeah. Only 3 of us tonight. There's a huge playoff game in Elk Grove tonight, pitting JC and Teddy Bear versus Chuck in a battle royale. So you'll just have to live with the 3 of us tonight. Robbie and Marty joining me.
See, you said it differently than I would have.
Oh, how
I would have
you
said
say
JC, Brent, Chuck are going to be hanging around with a bunch of 12 and 13-year-olds tonight.
it? Yeah. That got us flagged last time you said that. So tonight we are continuing down a path that we started because the Lowlifes are so good at hate. We are going to talk about
No.
the best villains of the National League East teams and the American League East teams. So I'll just explain what we intended the villain to be, and then Marty can explain why he didn't do that. So a villain is somebody who makes it difficult for his own fans, management, coaches, and teammates to handle him. He's not the hated guy from the other team that hits the home run, but if that's what you want to do, Marty, that's okay. That's just the flavor of what I was going for. What do you think, Marty?
I missed it entirely.
Yeah, you weren't listening.
But I must admit, there's some teams that are more established, have been around for a long time, that okay, we can pick out this person or that person, and then I really had a tough time with the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean,
there are some good candidates.
Is there? Okay, all right, good. Yeah. So I look forward to your interpretation of that then. Okay, good.
So if you're watching us now, we would love to hear from you. There's a little microphone at the bottom of the screen. Tap that, and it will begin a 30-second countdown. That is when you speak, not when it's over. You speak when it's doing its 30-second countdown. At the end, it will stop and allow you to listen to it if you'd like. If everything's okay, send it to us, and we will play it on the air and respond to it. We do not have any messages right now, so would love to have somebody chime in, but let's get started.
And just for an update for all our listening audience, Dave Hall is now in a recuperative facility, and he's doing great. Exchanged emails again with him this morning. He's looking forward to getting out next week, and he says he's ready for next baseball season. He's got some serious things to go to tackle before he does it, but that old crotchy SOB, he's probably going to do it. So here's to you, Dave. Hang in it. Keep hanging in there.
He's got some time to heal up.
Yep.
Can watch a lot of playoff baseball while he's getting better.
Yep.
Okay, so let's start with the National League East. Let's go with the Atlanta Braves, who are also in history known as the Boston Braves and the Milwaukee Braves. So a storied history of potential bad guys. Yes, Marty?
Question. If we all get the same guy on the same team, is he technically the supervillain?
Yes. I think that would be safe to say. And this might be one of those teams where we have the supervillain.
That's why I brought it up.
Start off and see if I see flashes of disappointment on both of your faces.
That's what my girlfriend keeps saying.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
I'm pretty sure you're imagining that, Marty.
Oh, the imaginary girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, Robbie, the blow up doll does have a
That's-
sour look on her face. I'm going to go with John Rocker of the Atlanta Braves, who is just an evil SOB. He's not a good teammate. He's a racist. He seems to like to incite others just for his own entertainment. He was a good pitcher, but I think the Braves figured out quickly that having somebody like that on your team is a detriment in many ways to the success of the team. It is a team, and it's not about one guy who thinks he's king of the hill and can say and do whatever he wants. For those of you maybe who aren't familiar with him, type in his name in YouTube, and you'll get to watch some of his antics on the field, where he's throwing at hitters, yelling in insults, arguing with his own teammates, and genuinely looking to be a spectacle. Um, Pitiful for baseball, and I'm glad that baseball eventually fined him and suspended him a couple of times. And I think he won't be invited back to too many of the Braves team reunions. So, John Rocker is my pick. What do you got, Marty?
I'm not sure. It's been coined to Ben Franklin and to Abe Lincoln, and it's a very wise saying. It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open one's mouth and remove all doubt. John Rocker was a fine pitcher. He was a good relief pitcher, and I this where I think it's conjecture more than everything else. Maybe I think they were playing the Mets in a playoff game or a crucial game where he made some stupid statement about the ethnicity of the subway system or some, then a good reporter, I must admit, a good reporter said, "Yes, really? Tell me more." And of course, being the fool that he is, that runs off his mouth, he kept going. And he kept going to the point where he ran he didn't run himself out of his league. His mouth ran himself out of the league. And everybody now, to this day, it's been years ago, can really say, good riddance, Mr. Rocker. So,
Yep,
yep.
agreed.
Yeah. So it's, come on, silly fool. Robbie.
Well, we don't have a supervillain
Oh.
because I don't know that the fans in Atlanta ever really disliked the guy. I mean, I'm sure some of them did, but I think some of the others were blissfully unaware of what a jackass he was. And usually in Atlanta, if you're going to mock New York, that plays pretty well in Atlanta. So I don't think all the fans really shared the sentiment. But there was one guy, Uniel Escobar. Uniel Escobar fought with his teammates. Uniel Escobar fought with the coaching staff. Uniel Escobar had a fist fight with someone from the front office. He had a fist fight with an official scorer. Word about him got out of the clubhouse, and the fans found out about it, and he was just booed mercilessly. Even if he did something good, the Braves fans were booing him. He was just unleashed upon by the fans, and apparently he wasn't a favorite with the clubhouse or the rest of the organization. In 2010, he was traded in midseason for Alex Gonzalez. The day that Alex Gonzalez walked into the clubhouse, the Braves players gave him a standing ovation. That's how happy they were to be rid of Yuniel Escobar. So I'm going with him.
Okay.
That's a good pick. I agree. He was a bad influence, and we might hear his name again later in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Miami Marlins. The Miami Marlins have only been around since 1993. Originally, the Florida Marlins. So, as an expansion team, there's not as much material to work with, but I know I've come up with a few guys that have stained the franchise. So, Robbie, who goes first in this round?
Well, you had such a big lead in. Why don't you go first again?
All right. I'm not going to use a player. I'm going to use an owner, Jeffrey Loria, the guy that brought the team from Montreal in his way of kind of working out a deal that was all about him making money. The product that was going to go on the field was of absolutely no interest to him, similar to what we're seeing with the former Oakland A's and whatever's happening with that franchise. It's pitiful that baseball allows an owner to do this, but Loria was a guy that fancied himself a businessman who could make great deals that would result in him making money. I don't know too many fans who care whether or not a baseball team makes money. They wanted a good product on the field that has a chance to win. That was never Loria's intention. Anything good that happened while he was the owner was because the players and the coaching staff overcame the obstacles that he put in place of them. Look him up on the internet. I'm not sure you'll find anybody that talks about him as being good for baseball. So he's my Marlins pick. All right, Robbie, what do you got?
All right, I'm going to go with a very recent one, and this one hits home hard. Nick Fortes, Fortes, the backup catcher for the Miami Marlins. Guy was kind of oblivious at times, not always aware that he was actually on a baseball field. But in particular, Marlin fans really have not forgiven him for an incident during between innings. Ryan Weathers is on the mound, and Ryan Weathers, for those of you that follow my fantasy baseball team, the Fargan Ice Holes, Ryan Weathers is a key pitcher on my pitching staff, and he was knocked out this year for several weeks thanks to Nick Fortes. In between innings during the warm-ups, at the coming down throw to second base, Nick Fortes hit Ryan Weathers in the head. Weathers missed several weeks. He was a strikeout leader for me. It's also when I left contention of the league that I'm in. And Marlins fans also were upset because Ryan Weathers is a guy that gets hurt with freak injuries a lot, and this was yet another in his storied career of injuries. But Nick Fortes really he heard it from the fans for pretty much the rest of the season. So yeah, I got to go with Nick Fortes on that one for sure.
Yeah. Apparently the Marlins agree with you. They traded him to Tampa Bay, so
Yeah.
that's where he finished up the year. So.
I guess that leaves you, Marty.
Yeah. There's a guy that was playing right now. Right now. What's the score? The Jazz Chisholm plays for the is playing right now with the Yankees, and he had some quotes about a certain individual who when 2024 he played with was a teammate with the Marlins, and said that because of this individual, that was the worst 3 years probably of his entire life. The gentleman he's referring to is Miguel Rojas. Chisholm says he wasn't a good captain. He wasn't a good person, and he wasn't even a good athlete. Okay, so his personal squabbles. Why did he make my list? There's certain things you just don't do. And one of it is damage somebody else's property in the locker room. And back in 2020 when Chisholm first came up, I guess he had very flamboyant. And according to Rojas, he had 20 different pairs of custom shoes. That really pissed off Rojas to the point that he went over and cut up 2 of his shoes. I mean, what prompts someone to be so overwhelmed to damage someone else's personal property? Chris Sale did it. Um, he didn't like the uniforms. Who was he with the White Sox? He didn't
I
like
think
the
so.
yeah, and he went
Yeah.
in and cut up the uniforms in the locker room of the White Sox. Um, Anybody who has that's not someone with a sound mind, and that's someone to stay away from. And so it's definitely not a good teammate, and qualifies in my mind as a villain. So Miguel Rojas, what a turd.
You mean Jazz
All right.
Chisholm?
Hey, you know what? I'm sure they point fingers and there's guilt on both sides, but you don't go in and just trash somebody's stuff. Anyway,
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the New York Mets. Mets entered the league in 1962. So we've got plenty of years to look back at of bad guys on the Mets who've done bad things. Marty, who's going to start this one off?
I am.
All right.
Okay. Like I said, many years for the Mets, and there's a whole list of people that probably were not good teammates. But there's just one person that I just stood out, and he just drew the line. I mean, it was back in '73. He tried to make his comeback. He just wasn't welcomed after all the stuff that he did. Ed Kranepool didn't like him. He had bad stuff to say about Tom Seaver and Yogi Berra. So how dare he even tries to go back to the team that he fouled by wrote the book Bad Stuff About the Mets.
Yeah.
And of course, it's Chico Escuela.
Yes.
Even though baseball had been very, very good to me, you don't trash Tom Seaver by saying he takes up 2 parking spaces. You don't say that Yogi Berra was a crappy card player. And you don't, and according to Ed Kranepool, you don't steal his soap and not give it back. I mean, how come on, how vile can that one person be?
So for those of you going out to Baseball Reference to look up Chico Escuela, you're not going to find him.
But if you go to
Chico,
YouTube, you
But
can
yeah,
certainly find
yeah,
him.
Chico
go to
Escuela,
YouTube,
yeah.
Look up Chico Escuela, a utility infielder on the Mets as portrayed by Garrett Morris of Saturday Night Live. One of my favorite sketches of all time. I love
Absolutely.
that.
And I even forgot the one where he and Murphy went down to the training facility in Florida, and they literally interviewed Kranepool and all those guys, and it was terrific. It really was a great sketch.
Yes. All right, who's up?
He was actually introduced at an Old Timers Day, a Mets Old Timers game.
Was he really?
Oh yeah,
Guys like John Matlack and Jerry Kuzman and Chico Escuela, Ron Swoboda. Like they just blended him right in.
All right, okay, Webby, go ahead, go for it.
Well, I remember the '86 Mets that made the big playoff run. And we're looking for one villain, but according to a couple of my buddies, Gary Carter was on that '86 Mets team, and he was the Boy Scout of the team. And they said he had no idea what was going on around him. He came out to play baseball every day. I'm gonna win this game with my teammates. And meanwhile, almost everybody around him is involved in some sort of illegal activity, whether that be drugs or cheating or doing something. I know we're supposed to focus in on one villain, so I guess I'll choose one. I guess Dwight Gooden would be the guy that threw away what could have been one of the greatest careers ever by getting involved in drugs a little bit too much and basically becoming a journeyman pitcher towards the end of his career. But you could go down the list of guys on that team that had issues. Len Dykstra, Darryl Strawberry, Kevin Mitchell was on that team. Each of these guys had their own on and off the field issues. And there in the middle of that was the wonderful Gary Carter, who just came to play ball and win. So I'll go with Gooden on the Mets. Robbie, what do you got?
I honestly thought this would be our supervillain, and this guy, we're doing worse than John Rocker here. I mean, there is Lou Gehrig Day, there's Roberto Clemente Day, there's Jackie Robinson Day, and there is Bobby Bonilla Day. July 1st, every Mets fans hate him because he underperformed there. They're still paying him for another 5 years?
Yeah.
He's still under contract. This is 2025 for those of you watching in the future. They're still paying him for like another 5 years. It's just utterly ridiculous to me. And I'm pretty sure the fans still hold him in great contempt, as well as the ownership and management of the team at the time.
Because
you are correct. I think again, this is another YouTube moment for people. Just look him up. You'll find that interview in the clubhouse where he's threatening to beat the hell out of some reporter.
Right. I mean,
yeah, in my notebook, I notes I had Bobby Bonilla. Scratched it out
Yes.
when I thought of Chico, but so Bobby was there.
Yeah, I think we did okay there.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if you have friends that are baseball fans, they're sending memes to each other on Bobby Bonilla Day every year. So,
Yes. All right, let's do the Philadelphia Phillies. There's a storied franchise there.
indeed.
Lots and lots of people that we could go with as a potential bad guy. Let's see, Robbie, who do you want to start off on this one?
I'll start off on this one. It's interesting to me because the Philly fans boo their guys, but they don't always hate their guys.
Mhm.
But people not from Philadelphia really don't like a lot of the Phillies players. You could go down a list over the years. And my initial thought for this was Ben Chapman, with all the incidents with Jackie Robinson and everything and all of that. And I thought that was the guy. But then I came across, to me, it's kind of an out of the nowhere, another backup catcher story. And I went, well, I got to go with that. Anytime you have a backup catcher versus a famous incident, I got to go with the backup catcher. Rod Barajas. He was universally disliked for no particular reason in Philadelphia
Really?
until you dug in and found out that, as a one of the sports radio show hosts in Philadelphia once said, that Barajas is a guy who shows no effort, shows no guts, and was a lackadaisical player in a way that no one in Philadelphia can stand, especially for a catcher.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I'm like, well, all right. Yeah, the Ben Chapman's the obvious guy, but Barajas, that's pretty funny that you're being talked about on the radio as a guy that just doesn't care, and you're a backup catcher. So yeah, I had to go with that. I thought that was funny.
Okay.
Marty?
Ben Chapman was big on my list, but then I kind of pulled up a few other things, and I kind of asked Chat GPT, and I said, who's the villain of the Phillies? And they came up with Len Dykstra. And I thought, okay, he had a kind of a storied career. He talked about earlier when playing with the Mets, and then you look at when he was traded. I'll go back to my notes. I'm sorry. In 1991, first season, he got hurt, broke a collarbone, came back, and then had injuries from an auto accident. The following season, opening day, he broke his hand. So he was basically the big money guy coming to Philadelphia to help the lineup, and was out for almost 2 years. And then, he was known for his hard play and the gruff demeanor. And did you guys ever hear about this? And after he was retired, it came out that back in '93, he paid, private investigator $500,000 to dig up dirt on MLB umpires.
Wow.
He used the information they said to leverage his strike zone. But in 1994 he walked 68 times in 300 plate appearances. But here's the last line: the claim of blackmailing umpires was met with considerable skepticism.
Wow.
But I thought
Speculatism?
speculatism.
Is that what
means
you-
more? It
think he's tr- I
means
think-
more beer. More beer.
I think he's
Expectorating
trying to
is-
say he's trying to say skepticism, isn't he?
Skepticism.
Yeah. Well, I think I've got to argue with you here, Marty. This is a guy who is trying to create an avenue to better play for himself. He's going all out. He's investing in his own future by paying to dig up dirt on these guys. Yeah, my guy's Len Dykstra far and away. This guy was evil incarnate. Some of the things he did, taking advantage of people, taking advantage of endorsements, cheating. He owes a lot of money in gambling debts. He served time in jail. His life is a mess. And what's worse is he doesn't seem to want to take responsibility for the things that he did. It's always somebody else's fault. So, again, those of you who want to dig deeper on Len Dykstra, we could do an entire 1 hour show on the things that he's done wrong in life. And the character is a big thing here that I think a lot of people are looking at and saying, yeah, this is not somebody I would trust to walk my child across the street. It's that kind of a human being we're talking about. So that would be mine. Let's move on to the final team in the National League East, which would be the Washington Nationals, who, of course, are the original Montreal Expos, going back to 1969. So we've got a lot of history that we can deal with. I want to start this one off just because I want to see if we're going to get the trifecta on this one. I'm going to go with Jonathan Papelbon, the amazing reliever who famously challenged Bryce Harper to a fight in the dugout because he didn't think Harper was getting good, solid at bats out there. He didn't think Harper was hustling in the outfield. You know what? He might have had a point, but I think he took on the idea that he was the veteran that everybody respected, and he was sadly wrong because he had spent a good part of his career demeaning umpires and teammates, and basically letting everybody know that he was the king of the crop. I never took so much joy in baseball as to watching Papelbon get beat up and blow a save. Because when somebody hits a home run, it's not the catcher's fault. But he would try to blame the catcher anyway. So he's my Expo / national villain. All right, Marty, what do you got?
That was a good one, Papelbon. He spent a lot of time with Boston too, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So but he can't. He may come up later on, but there was. And again, I was on who was the villain of the Nats, and it came up with a name I didn't really recall, but it showed the video of what he did on just one day, and said, "Yep, okay, now it was." Najar Morgan.
Oh yeah.
Niger.
Was it I was going to ask, was it Niger or okay?
Yes.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Okay,
Please be careful how you say that.
okay.
Yes.
Skepticism.
Yeah, you need to practice the word skepticism later this evening.
And throw in speculation for the hell of it.
I don't know, Robbie. Maybe Marty created a new word.
Oh yes,
Skepticism.
Spectic-
It's
Speculation
speculation
and skepticism at the same time. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Look it up and look it up in the.
Oy vey, get this guy a moil.
On May 22nd, 2010, the Nats were playing the Orioles. Adam Jones hits a fly ball dead center field, and Mr. Morgan was our center fielder. It's up against the wall, so he leaps against the wall. He doesn't make the play. The ball bounces away, and you're a professional baseball player. You don't even need to be a professional baseball player to literally figure out what to do next. It's not run away and throw your glove in the opposite direction and have a hissy fit meltdown literally right there on the field, where the left fielder had to come over to grab the ball and throw it in, and it was an inside the park home run for Adam Jones. Let's add, I mean, just what are you doing? Then he had an interview a few days later, and he admitted he just had a moment. You're a baseball player. You're on the baseball field. You're playing baseball, but you just had a moment.
Yeah.
So next year when I'm out there, and you guys play me at first base, and I just want to ground ball to third base, and you throw it to first, and I'm sitting on the bag, I'm just having a moment.
Yeah. Seems like a type of an excuse that you would use.
Thank you. Robbie, what you got?
All right. I really wanted to go back and pull up an expo just because it's such a missed franchise, if you will. But most of those guys were pretty good people. It didn't seem like anybody really despised Montreal, and probably Montreal is such a great city. Probably playing there made you a little soft. Maybe that's why they weren't good for many years. But everybody seemed to like their expos, and the expos seemed to like to be there. But accuse me of recency bias, if you will. But in June, around June 20th of this year, the Washington Nationals were really struggling. They have a really good core of young players, and they have a pretty decent core of young pitching arms that just need a little more time and a little help. However, when pressed by the press, get it? Pressed by the press, pressed by journalists.
Sounds like something I would say.
Absolutely. Pressed by journalists to explain their issues, this guy, the manager of the team, said, "Well, it's not the coaching; it's all on the players." It's Dave Martinez, and I think on June 20th he said that, and June 22nd he was no longer the manager of the Nationals. Not protecting his guys, not protecting anything, just himself. Yeah, that kind of went backwards on him. And that's a guy that won a World Series a few years ago. So
yeah. Well, interestingly enough, none of us mentioned Anthony Rendon. Wow.
Yeah.
Although his troubles are really with the Angels, right? I mean, he had
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of why I stayed away from Papelbon, because I remember most of the dust-ups in Boston.
So,
like accusing
accusing
Bryce Harper of not hustling. I'm kind of on Papelbon's side.
I mean, there is some truth to that. Like, yeah. We will talk about Anthony Rendon in our next show about villains.
Yes,
we will. American League West and the American League Central. Now, we have completed our National League East. Robbie, let's talk some beer.
What a great idea! Let's do the my favorite segment of the show. What you drinking? As always, the Highlights from Lowlife show is sponsored by our good friends at Almanac Brewing. Hopefully last week you were tuning in. We had live studio audience and everything as we did our podcast from Almanac Brewing in Alameda. It was great. We had a great time. They were gracious to us, perfect hosts, and we were perfect guests.
That was a first. That was a first.
Perfect adjacent. So this is the time where we talk about some Almanac beers. We all get to sit back thanks to our partnership with them, drink these and talk about them. And I am once again, I love German beer, and I am drinking the Oktoberfest, their version called the Rocktoberfest. It's delicious. It's out everywhere now that sells Almanac. Get it while you can. Oof, it's so good. What are you guys drinking?
Well, speaking with the German beers, how about the Hefeweizen? And I don't, and again, I don't like Almanac contradicting me like this. I don't like Hefeweizens, but I'm drinking the heck out of this thing. I got a couple of 4-packs when I was there last week. It's got all the great flavor of the wheat beer without that heavy aftertaste that was traditional for Hefeweizen. They
Yep.
do a great job. It's called Hugs, and give it a try. Once again, Almanac hits it out of the ballpark. Nice job.
They make a really good German style Hefe, not the American style. It gets all like, it's like it has milk in it. It's what it
Yeah.
feels like.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I am also drinking the Hugs. Marty, I'm just going to use the line I was going to come up with. It's like having a warm hug to drink the Hugs here.
Oh,
At the top of the can, it says "Smiles for Miles." So, when we were at the brewery, I saw a lot of people ordering this. This is a very popular one on the list. Once you're in the brew pub, there, very tasty. Can have more than one of these. Not heavy at all.
If you're waiting for a hug, you might want to pack a lunch.
Yeah. Thank you, David Spade. So I'm with the Hugs tonight.
All right. Well, hopefully out there you guys are enjoying some Almanac beer and having a good time watching the show. Thanks for watching. If you get to Alameda, or even make it a point to get out there and visit the brewery, it's a lot of fun. It's family friendly, dog friendly, food friendly. They got great food there, great beers. And if you tell them you heard about them from the Highlights from Lowlife show, they may take pity upon you.
All right.
bring
Okay.
back the double secret probation.
Hey, wintertime is coming. I'm pretty sure that stout's coming back.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are halfway through this show, and nobody has chimed in to try to give us their opinion about villains yet.
I personally, I
please.
think that's because we're right.
Yes, I think that's probably it. We've hit all of the possible players, but I thought maybe we might have somebody send in a note, especially since we're coming up on the division that contains a lot of teams that are universally hated.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, if you want to leave us a comment, hit the microphone at the bottom of the screen, and you get a 30-second countdown where you can tell us what you think. All right. Let's go to the American League East, and we'll start off with the Baltimore Orioles, who in a previous incarnation were known as the St. Louis Browns. So you've got Browns history and Orioles history. Who is the villain of the Baltimore Orioles? All right. Robbie, you want to start this off?
Sure. This guy was a pretty mediocre pitcher for 5 years in Baltimore, but he got the reputation of being a guy who acted like he was a superstar, even though he was well below 500 starting pitcher. So he couldn't or wouldn't back it up. But in 2003, he suddenly went 14-6, and in midseason at the trading deadline, he was traded to the Giants. Morale greatly improved in Baltimore after that trade.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the Giants, who were in contention following their World Series appearance the previous year, fell out of contention upon his arrival in San Francisco, where he went 3-6 and did not ingratiate himself with members of the clubhouse. That's Sidney Ponzone.
Yeah.
And then in 2004, this is where it gets weird. The Orioles brought him back as a free agent, hoping to capture some of that magic again. And he was their opening day pitcher in 2004. And of course, he returned to his mediocre self. And during this stint, which lasted just over a year and a half, he was considered pretty checked out by the team. He also, despite all of that, he earned 3 DUIs in 9 months. and was arrested for assault in Aruba, and then punched the judge at his trial.
That's never good.
No.
I've looked into that. I haven't seen anybody move forward after punching the judge at their own
No,
trial.
it usually does not work in your favor. But obviously, after all of that, the Orioles released him. That's quite a record in just over a year and a half with the team.
Yeah.
After bringing a team that brought you back again to get 3 DUIs, get arrested for assault, and then punch the judge. That's Baltimore fans didn't like him to start with, and they certainly don't like him now. So Sidney Ponzone is my villain.
Yeah,
Webby?
that's a good one. All right, I'm going to go with a player that probably had the worst performance after signing a big contract in the history of baseball, and didn't seem too interested in changing his approach to maybe try something a little bit different to get to a success point like he had earlier in his career. Chris Davis,
Oh,
the
yeah.
first baseman for the
Yeah.
Orioles, who had a couple of big seasons with this big old loopy swing, and got a big contract. Next thing you know, players have decided, pitchers have decided, oh my God, Chris Davis, his swing plane is the same on every single pitch. He doesn't make the adjustment for the ball, maybe going up or down. So a pitch high in the strike zone, he's swinging through the middle of the strike zone. A pitch low in the strike zone, he's swinging through the middle of the strike zone. He's not adjusting, and he is doing the big old loopy swing. So during the next several years, I think it was a 7-year contract, the Orioles are saddled with this guy who basically can't play. You can't put him out there. You're going to go 0 for 4 every night with 3 strikeouts, which is what he would do. He would play 150 games and bat 180. So one of the worst hitters in Major League Baseball history, and made no adjustment. Didn't make a change to the swing. So while he didn't do anything nasty, he didn't say any bad words, he didn't take any bad actions, it was his inaction that got all the fans hot and bothered about, just release this guy. I think they released him with 2 years left on his contract. And he's sitting someplace making millions of dollars a year for doing nothing. It's kind of like a CEO getting a golden parachute. He got his golden parachute. So.
Yeah.
Chris Davis. Right, Marty, what do you got?
Well, I thought we also had an ultra villain here with Mr. Ponzone, because that's what I had also.
Right.
The guy had some success, and he partied, and he had a little more success, and he partied more, and then it got the best of him. But then his pitching went down. The partying didn't. So what should have, if you're building your way up, party some more. Then you're not. Then you should. Up until the point and including, and this was the part that stand out, is punching out the judge in Aruba. And one thing that add to it that Webby didn't put in, when did he do that? Christmas Day. You had literally nothing better to do on Christmas Day than to punch out a judge.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Boom, boom. Let me give you a gift you'll never forget.
All right, moving on. Boston Red Sox. Now we're talking about quite the history. A team that's been around since the beginning of baseball, for that matter. I'm going to start this one off. I'm going to go with a guy that I mentioned in our last villain show. He's been a villain pretty much wherever he goes, and I love what my research has come up with for Manny Ramirez. You got elite hitting with Manny Ramirez, but that was coupled with legendary laziness, faking injuries, dogged effort, accusations of not applying yourself, and occasional fights with teammates. So it was kind of like, a deli. You pick and choose what stupid thing Manny Ramirez is going to do on any given day to take away from the focus of the Red Sox winning the game. So he is my Red Sox villain. All right. Marty, what do you got?
Let's back up for a second. You mentioned earlier that our upcoming episodes are going to have villains from the American Leagues.
American League West and the American League Central.
Okay, so I'm going to phone in that episode now, because this one individual will fit. I'm choosing Carl Everett as a Red Sox.
Yes, yes.
But going down the list, he can fit as a Houston Astro, a Texas Ranger, Chicago White Sox, and the Seattle Mariners. So that's pretty much, there's my show for the next weeks. I'm on vacation. See you later. But he was 2000. He was in Boston and they had a good career going, and the fans welcomed him until he got suspended for 10 days for blowing up an umpire. But that's not what Carl's really remembered for. There's something wrong with Carl. He didn't believe in dinosaurs. He can give you a long tirade about on Genesis, the first book in the Bible, about what was created and what wasn't. But because it didn't say dinosaurs, they didn't really exist. He questioned the validity of the Apollo moon landing. He also would handle the issue of homosexuality by just saying he's going to set him straight. So either this guy is totally loopy or he's the second coming, but I'm going to go with loopy. And I'm being real kind with this guy. So, and you got to, if you're on the team with this guy, you got to be walking on eggshells throughout the clubhouse, because he may do something, but worse yet, he just may want to talk to you. Oh my God!
Oh my God! Here he comes. Avert your eyes.
So there you go. So I'm done. I'm out of here. I'll see you.
All right, Robbie, what do you got for the Red Sox?
Robbie, what you got?
For the Red Sox, it hurts me to do this because he was a beloved player here in San Francisco, but he has been the subject of much vitriol in Boston, particularly considering he only played like in 37 games. More often than not, when a fan base hates a guy that plays for their own team, it's because he's being paid a lot of money and not doing anything. This was exactly the case with our beloved Pablo Sandoval. Pablo got a 5-year, $95 million contract.
Yeah.
Showed up to spring training extensively overweight, not just pudgy, way overweight, and to the point where the legendary spring training game swing where he broke his belt just by swinging
my
the bat. He spent most of his year and a half in Boston on the injured list. It was just a bad thing all the way around. He was not the happy little panda bear that we knew here. He was very much reviled in Boston. So I think to the Boston fans, Pablo Sandoval is their villain.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Yeah. All right. Let us go to, let's see. Let's do our the most storied franchise in all of baseball. It would be fun to have Adam Schneider and Michael Miller on our show to tell us who their most reviled Yankee is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the New York Yankees, I don't know. I mean, we could have an entire series of shows about villains in Yankee fandom. But Robbie, what do you got for your Yankee?
Yeah, mine was pretty easy. You know, we talked earlier about Sidney Ponson. You know, being a mediocre player but walking around with the swagger of a superstar. That's usually a qualifier to be a villain on a team. Bringing 2 pet mountain lions into the team clubhouse. That's kind of a qualifier for being a villain. Bringing a loaded gun into the clubhouse. That's a qualifier for being a villain. Booking a hotel in spring training for your wife, and then booking the same hotel for your girlfriend, and then sitting back in a chaise lounge watching them fight at the hotel pool. That's kind of disqualifying. Ricky Henderson's on the DL with a hamstring injury, and then you get into a wrestling match with him. That's pretty disqualifying. And dating a 15-year-old and bringing her to the clubhouse regularly, also kind of a bad look. Mel Hall.
Oh,
Mel. A guy that seemed to have all the talent, but I absolutely never used it. And he seemed funny and vivacious and colorful, and he seemed like a great interview, and he was a really bad guy.
Yes, he was.
So, yeah, Mel Hall.
Good one.
What do you got, Webby?
I'm going to go with probably one of the worst ever Japanese imports into the major leagues. Hideki Irabu. I think in several of the New York newspapers, he was referred to as the in a Japanese term, which was equivalent to the golden turd. He was not a good pitcher. He did not respond well to the pressure of New York, and there's a lot of guys that had that issue. But as his career went on in the major leagues, it became apparent that the scouting reports on him were not well done. If they were, he was one of those AAA guys that could never take the talent onto to the big leagues, or maybe it was New York that ruined him. I don't know. He bounced around to a few teams, but he was never a dominant pitcher. He was never somebody that they were afraid of, and he didn't seem all that interested in becoming any better. He had his money, and he was back in Japan after a few years. So I'll go with Hideki Irabu.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Marty?
This one was so bizarre, and it really had nothing to do with baseball itself. Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich.
Kekich.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Swapping families. I mean, not just wives. I mean, it was the early 70s. I mean, the 60s weren't quite over yet, or they flowed over a little bit. They didn't just swap wives, they swapped kids. What? It blew up both their careers. No, it almost persona non grata at that point. Neither one of those guys were really any good. Although Peterson was on the 1970 All-Star team, but wow, I mean,
wow, and why?
Yeah. Good luck with that one. But anyway, okay, so that one stood out more than anything else. So there you go.
That's a good one.
There you go. Wow.
Like I said, if we could do the Yankees, we could do a couple more shows on these because there's so many people that didn't adjust well to being in New York.
We could do it by seasons. All right, next week,
you
1933.
I remember the Fran Healy and Cliff Johnson fighting in the bullpen because neither one of them wanted to warm up the next pitcher that was going to go into the game. Chuck Knobloch just
Yeah.
completely forgetting how to throw to first base from the second base position and just becoming a pariah. I mean, so many people didn't adjust well to New York.
No.
All right. We are going to move on to perhaps the toughest one on this list. The Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, you thought it was tough.
Yeah. So there's a couple of candidates here. I know, Marty, you thought this one was a little difficult. These guys joined as the Tampa Bay Devil Rays in 1998. But they have had their share of troubling players. Robbie, you want to start off?
I'd love to. Just in recent years, this has been a pretty competitive team, and not more than 3, maybe 4 years ago, if memory serves, this was a team on the verge of looking like they were going to be a multi-year pennant contender, a team you're going to have to watch out for. They had strong pitching, a bunch of good young players, and they had this one budding superstar that looked like he might be the next greatest player of all time. He had the skill set and the ability of Willie Mays, and seemed like he could actually play ball. Excitement was high. Fans were feeling really good, and then it was found out that Wander Franco had a 4-month sexual relationship with a 14-year-old.
Yeah. Okay. I get where you're going here.
Wait,
Probably should have thought of him.
let me get to the good line. It was at that point the dome caved in. Yeah, I mean, Wander Franco, come on, 14-year-old, 4 months, 4 months. It wasn't like a once she told me she was 18 kind of thing. It was 4 months. Yeah, that's a bad dude.
Yeah,
what do you guys got? I challenge you to get worse than that.
If you remember earlier in this show, you mentioned Yunel Escobar.
Yeah.
Yunel played for the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah, true.
He did.
And he's famous for 2 incidents while with the Rays that might have been worse than what happened with the Braves. He had a controversial eye black incident, which he played off as in a very racist way. And when challenged on it by the press, his response was, "You people are gay." So now he's now attacked 2 different groups of people, and probably doesn't even understand that he did it. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. So I think Yunel he gets 2 mentions in this show.
Nice.
Marty, what'd you come up with?
Like I said, I probably should have paid more. You did a great job, guys, and I should probably paid more attention to this team. But it was mentioned before, so he's not the player. He was the original owner, Vince Namely. And one thing I thought was kind of funny is that he just paid, or his partnership just paid $130 million to MLB for a team. What are they going to name the team? It was supposed to be the Stingrays, but there was a minor league team that already had the name Stingrays. So he paid $130 million for the team, but refused to pay $35,000 for the naming rights after the fact.
Wow.
To get the name of the team, to get the team name that he wants. So they had to go with the Devil Rays. And the backlash from certain organizations couldn't support a team with a satanic message. So it was. So what do we have today? The Rays.
The Rays.
There we go.
All right.
So this, so not only was it they claim he was a tightwad. Well, actually, you paid out $130 million. You're going to look at your pennies. I can understand that, but really some bad decision making. Wow.
I agree. Well, before we jump into our last team, which will be the Toronto Blue Jays, just letting you know, uh, our friends at Yankees Coast to Coast,
Ooh.
Adam and Michael, they are
not having
doing a
good.
show after every Yankees playoff game,
They're
win or
not gonna.
lose.
Looks like they're not gonna have
Uh,
fun.
So tonight's the
So
last night.
they're probably going to be going on the air in a little bit here, if they haven't already, to talk about how their team is going to be eliminated from the playoffs. It's Blue Jays are beating the Yankees 5-1 in the bottom of the eighth inning. There are now 2 outs, so the Yankees have 4 outs to get 4 runs. So we'll see how that works. But I got to give it to these guys. They love their Yankees, and they have
Yep.
an entertaining show. So take a look in the coming up on micdup.
I
and
think
you'll
they're
see
live
their
right
shows.
now. Let's drop in on their show for a second, shall we?
I think what I would have gotten out of this is that the Blue Jays were highly underestimated. The Yankees do have a good team, but the Blue
Yeah.
Jays are pretty damn good themselves.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
all right, let's go on to the Toronto Blue Jays. And here's a team came in as an expansion team themselves. 1978, I believe, 77. And so they've got a kind of a storied history. They've got a lot of issues with players that didn't want to play in Toronto, ended up there and didn't like the taxes and things like that. So you'd hear some whining and complaining there. But there was also some people who were just not very good individuals. Marty, you want to start?
Sure. The Giants may remember this guy because they after Toronto had enough of him, they sent him to the Giants. Shea Hildebrand, an all-star in 2006, but didn't like the way things were going. He didn't like the manager specifically. So he wrote on the billboard in the locker room, "Play for yourself, and the ship is sinking." Well, if you're the manager of this team, you may not like that. And John Gibbons was the manager, and they almost came to blows. And but this was a young and upcoming kid, and it got to a point where the manager went to the front office and says, "It's either him or me." And I think they made the right choice, and they sent him to the Giants. And I recall him coming to the Giants, but I don't think he ever did anything. Am I right?
I mean, he made such an impact. I don't remember him being on the team.
Yeah, right. There
I
you
could
go.
use some speculative skepticism and say that he did not contribute. He underwhelmed in his short time here.
It's called specticism. Specticism. All right.
It's in
Who's up,
the
Marty?
Nevada school district, so look it up. Revy, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go with a Hall of Famer.
No,
Oh,
Hall of Famers. Those are all good guys.
A great second baseman for many, many, many years.
oh yeah, here we go.
Kind of an entitled guy. And he's probably better known for spitting in an umpire's face than he is for his play, because he had a bit of a temper on him and didn't seem to think he could do anything wrong. Robbie Alomar
Yep.
is famous for spitting in John Hirschbeck's face. It's one of the ugliest incidents in Major League Baseball history, to see somebody treat somebody else with such disrespect, a position of authority with such disrespect. And he had other off-field and on-field issues with teammates, management, coaches. He just, it's one of those guys that felt he was above it all. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I suppose so. But you could make an argument that he didn't live up to what the game requires out of sportsmanship and things like that. So he is my Toronto Blue Jay. All right, Robbie, did you give us?
No,
Blue Jay yet?
I got a quick one here.
All right.
This guy, he was a manager for a couple of seasons in Toronto, and so it's weird that Toronto has this great rivalry with Boston, with the Red Sox, that the Red Sox are not aware of. It's strictly Toronto really do not like the Red Sox, and the Red Sox don't know that. So it's kind of strange. But this guy was a manager in Toronto, and he wasn't very good. He was a below 500 manager for a couple of seasons. But during his time, especially in the second season, he intimated a lot that he didn't think Toronto was that great a city, and he didn't think the Blue Jays were a major league organization, and so on and so forth. Even though they had won World Series and he hadn't. So at a certain point, he kind of burned out his time in Toronto, and it it takes a lot to get Canadians to hate you. They'll not like you, but to hate somebody. From what I've read, the Blue Jay fans really hate John Farrell,
Ooh.
Oh,
who was the
okay.
manager and was eventually traded for some minor league players to the Red Sox, which just made it worse. Or better, depending on your perspective. But any way you look at it, it's like they really don't like that guy. And so, yeah, to me, he's the fans' villain in Toronto.
All right. Well, we got through all 10 teams.
All right.
We got 10 more to go. This worked out a little bit better than last time because there's only 3 of us. But thanks for joining us. We will be back here next Wednesday night with another show. Not positive we'll do the villain show, so we'll as soon as we post, you'll know what we're going to be talking about.
It's in the
We'll
cards.
do a show on Wednesday.
Yep.
Let's talk beer.
Yeah, let's just say thanks to Almanac one more time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being
Thank
the sponsors.
you.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye now.
Good night.
Highlights from Lowlifes.
Oktoberfest.
Highlights from Lowlifes.
Are we done? Is it over?
This is like the Ferris Bueller part of our show. You're still here?
Good. That ought to hold the little shits. Oh.
Wait, he froze, and now he can't lock us out. Marty, vamp.
Skepticism.
I'm not sure that. Oh, I think I can end it. Okay. Thank God. We're not going to be here all night.